Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Perkins, and we are live in Newport Beach at the Speaking Empire Amplify event. And you know, I am so fortunate because every once in a while you meet that person that really knows how to change not only your life, but the life of millions. And I say millions because the people that you impact others. Tom Schaff, wonderful, handsome, delightful man, but he's also the genius for salespeople because he not only teaches them, well, not to make money, but he teaches them how to be wealthy. And there's a difference between that, a huge difference. And I'd love it if you would tell me a little bit more about what you do.
I help for 30 years. I've taught people how to sell. But in that time, what I found out is people that are in sales that make a lot of money usually don't have any. Like, for example, I was recently with a group of 300 financial professionals that made $300,000 to $1.5 million. 1/3 of them owed the IRS in back taxes over 6 figures. Like, where does that make any sense?
No.
It doesn't make any sense. People that are wealth advisors don't even have any wealth. So it's not how much money you make, it's how much you keep and how much money are you making on your passive investments. My goal in the world? To make 1 million salespeople wealthy so that they're not worrying about eating cat food, that they're not worrying about how do I maximize my Social Security, and that in that, they keep working and start making a difference.
Well, you know, I love that concept because you've improved their lives. And through improving their lives, you do improve the lives of the people that they're selling to because obviously they have a good product. But you also improve the company's bottom line.
I say that salespeople, there was a time where I wasn't the greatest salesperson because I couldn't make a decision to save my life. And I remember writing in a book, 35 years ago, I am a decision maker. I meet with decision makers for the purpose of making decisions. But over the years, that's evolved, and it's more akin to the philosophy that you just shared. I am a difference maker, and the only people I work with are difference makers. And what's my goal? To make a difference. If we're not here to make a difference, let's go find somebody else. There's 7 billion people in the world. I don't need to sell you something that you're going to be unhappy with. So, Zig Ziglar said, some will, some won't, so what, next? Someone else is waiting. So that's.
Well, and honestly, I have found, and I know as we were talking, we are the answer to someone else's prayer. The people we sell to are looking for an answer, and we're giving that to them.
Well, they're not always looking. In fact, the people that are the best prospects aren't looking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when people are looking, all they tend to do is check out the yellow pages, the internet. And what they do is they Google and they're get 3 bids. When people are looking, it goes to procurement. Now, here's the problem. Logical buyers are easy to get to. They're hard to sell to because all they care about price because they're not punished for a stupid decision. An emotional buyer is hard to get to. If you actually told them what you sold, they'd say, why am I talking to you? But they're easy to sell because when you leave, if they don't buy from you, they still have the problem. There's a consequence. So who's the easiest person to sell? A person that doesn't know that they have a problem, but when they're alerted to it, they realize what it cost them. You get sent to who you sound like. And salespeople who talk about what they sell get sent to people who buy on price. Salespeople who solve problems and point out problems that people aren't aware of, well, they make a crap ton of money. It's like this, when you're talking to someone, you don't say, I sell this, and here you say, I appreciate your interest today. This may be a short call. We work with one of 3 kinds of people. People that are frustrated with this problem, they're sick and tired of this problem, and they're concerned about this other thing. If you don't have any of those, we don't have a lot to talk about. Which one, if any of these, were you even interested in? Well, that's a different world.
Oh, that is wonderful. Yeah, you do so many great things with these people, and I know you have a gazillion secrets and tips and ways that you do this. And you've been doing it a long time, so you really know what does and doesn't work.
I'm old.
We both know the yellow pages. You're not old.
I'm bold. My son says, you're not old, you're bold.
I love that, and you are bold, and that's one of the reasons I love you. I would love it if you would be willing, I know I'm asking a lot, would you share just one little secret with us that helps people in sales to be wealthy instead of having more sales?
It's a great thing. So, you have to make some money. So there's the selling part, but we're not going to, there was a time where I was a six-figure earner but I had maxed out my credit cards because I sold, I spent money as fast as I made it. And then I got exposed through a client to the world of private equity. Mm-hmm. And in private equity, as an accredited investor, $200,000 a year, greater income, or $1 million in net assets outside of my home, I found that, instead of like getting 8% in my Putnam fund, mm-hmm. Over 11 years, I got 16.5%. Wow. And that was available to me with minimal risk to me and with sure delivery. And as I got more sophisticated as an investor, I realized that I could do that with tax-deferred dollars through a self-directed IRA. I could create my own IRA with an organization. I could pay a maintenance fee. And now, my wife, we're over 50, so I can put $59,000 in for her. I can put $59,000 in for me. So I can take $118 and reduce my tax and defer it for the next, until I'm 70 and a half. I can put it into a private equity and potentially get 16% or more return and pay my taxes at exit. Those are little games. I have a client, genius, retired at 50, he owns 25 homes.
Wow.
So he owns 25 homes, and over the last 15 years as he built his portfolio, he's depreciating his houses, so he never paid taxes. His income was set off by the depreciation from his houses. He's driven that depreciation on the houses, down, down, down. But he bought them as fixer-uppers, he improved them. So he bought them right, he made an investment, he got an escalation, he's got years on his place where prices rose, he depreciated down. There's a lot of gain in it. Mm-hmm. When you live in a house for 2 years, if you're married, you can absorb $500,000 of capital gains. So the strategy is? He's 50 and every 2 years he's gonna move and take $500,000 out of his houses and never pay taxes again.
That's cool.
You can learn how to make money, but how many people, so what's funny, people will spend all their money learning how to improve their golf game, but they won't learn how to do sales, and they're in the profession. Uh-huh. And even if they make money, they don't spend any money getting advice to figure out how you keep it. And so that's my mission, to expose those kind of ideas, to do a mastermind where affluent, successful salespeople get together and share their ideas, to work and diversify and do projects together, buy companies together, and become owners and not like debtors and renters.
And as I hear you say that, all of these wonderful thoughts are going through my mind. When you are not coming from a point of scarcity, and if I don't close this deal, I'm not going to get paid and feed my family. You now no longer salespeople because you've got to close a deal. You find the people that need what you have, and if they don't need it, you're like, okay, what can I do to help you? And you help people instead of sell people.
It's still called sales, but You're exactly right. And what I love is that we're akin. You mentioned this idea of abundance versus scarcity. There's somebody in front of me and I need the money. I think I need to sell them. The problem is, if they're not a fit, how happy will they be?
That's correct.
So what are they going to do? They're going to complain. They're going to play late. They're going to never pay on time. They're going to be frustrated. They suck the life out of you, and you don't want to go back to work. Skip them. There's another person somewhere that needs you. So you got to get clear on, like, what do we do? Who do we do it for? How do we make a difference? And who's the person in the company that cares, that pays a fortune because I'm not there? Now, when I get that person, even if I have to wait, and I deliver, my best tactic in my work is, in 1997, I decided who I wanted to work with, and I only worked with those people. And I've never looked for business since. Like, people find me, and I usually have a waiting list. And the reason is, get someone 10 or 20 times their investment back, and see if there's a line waiting for you.
Yeah.
You don't do that with bad customers. Bad customers suck your life away.
Well, and good customers refer you to their friends. Bad customers tell everybody how bad you suck.
That's exactly right. And you know what's funny about that? A lot of people say, like, who's somebody that needs me? Makes me crazy. The people that need you the most will pay you the least. They're always broke.
Right.
What I found, my strategy, I say, Who doesn't need me? Is doing right, okay, it's thriving, but wants to win more and faster. They don't need me, but they want me because I give them speed, and they have a track record of taking advice and implementing. So it's like counterintuitive. Never call the person who needs you. I actually don't really love people that call me. Because they really aren't people that I've picked. I don't need the whole world, so I read the paper, I go, I want to work with that one. And then I find a way.
Oh, that is so wonderful. And, one of the groups I love to work with is Speaking Empire, and that's where I had the opportunity to meet you, is here at this awesome event. And, they're selective. They want people that are good as well as you do, and people that...
And we got in.
Yeah, and we got in. I mean,
Who knew?
It was like, whoa. I would love it if you would share with me just one, because I know there's a lot, but just one wow you've gotten from this event so far.
Well, I've gotten pages of them. In fact, I'm speaking later today, and I have 160 different things I took notes on.
Wow.
That will really work. But I'm going to give you two, because I've never listened to a direction in my life. My first is this idea you could buy a stage. On the slim side, maybe I would charge $12,500 a day for my time. And, if I was going to go do a speech, or keynote or something, probably more than that, because the shorter it is, the more prep it takes, right?
Right.
So somewhere north of that. But this idea that there's a room that I paid $12,500 for that had all my prospects in it, and that I could sell and make $100,000, $250,000, the paid to speak to sell model, that never really was part of my lexicon. So much so that I am developing a product right now called Moneymaker Sales Poker.
Yeah.
How to sell based on the laws of poker. I'm going to get a second home off the Strip in Vegas, 30 major hotels on the Strip. Each one of them has 3 sales forces in it a day, 90 sales forces. I want to speak in the morning where I pay them to let me come in. I'm going to speak in the afternoon, and I'm going to pay them to come in. I do that, go walk across the street to my house. That's going to be good for the home team.
That is fabulous.
Now, the second strategy is really related to that. If I'm in a casino and a hotel, and this idea that the people I'm going to talk to are at that convention, 21,000 conventions a year in Vegas.
Yeah.
The fact that they're in that building and that I can Facebook target for a period of time, 18 hours or something, my ads to pop up when they chase up Facebook. So when I come in, I've pre-framed them, that they've downloaded, they've checked me out, that I say, come to my room. Las Vegas, you are mine.
And it's a no-brainer. I would go to your room because I know how fabulous you are.
I'm not saying a word. Honey, I did nothing. What stays in Vegas.
Well, my chair just dropped, but that's okay.
It's like a jaw drop, chair drop.
Bringing it back, I really admire what you're doing to help people find wealth.
Yeah.
Not everybody does that. In fact, I don't know of anyone that helps salespeople find wealth. And so you are one alone in the world. So these people who want to, apply to be one of your clients, how do they find you so that they can say, hey, I really want you, and you can decide if it's a good fit or not?
Yeah, it's a good question. If you're a person that's a salesperson and you'd like help, go to bigswiftkick.com.
bigswiftkick.com?
Yeah.
Love that.
You know where that came from?
No.
Calvin and Hobbes. Calvin and Hobbes cartoon. The tiger comes up to the boy and says, what are you doing? He's like, I'm working in my new business. And he's like, well, how's it going? Not well. He goes, why? He goes, I can't understand it. Everyone needs what I'm selling. And there's a sign and it says, 5 cents, Swift Kicks. So I tried to get Swift Kick and it was taken. So I did Big Swift Kick, because if you need a Swift Kick, you need a bigger one.
Yeah.
If you're a business owner and you're a company 30 million to 300 million and you want to grow to $1 billion, I have the patent from the U.S. Patent Office, Trademark Office, Patent Office.
Yeah.
The only one in the world for business development for my book, Blueprint to $1 Billion. Blueprint
Awesome.
to $1 billion. And if you're a corporate employee in a large multinational, you work at Kraft, Quaker, Motorola, one of the 62 companies in the Fortune 500 that I consult to, or another one that have yet to cross your path, go to my company, solutionpeople.com, and we'll teach you how to come up with ideas and how to sell them. You know, in my career of inventing things, Happy Meals for toys, Max Life for Valvoline, different companies like that, what I found out is the greatest ideas that are ever generated in a company never see the light of day.
Why do you think that is?
The idea is too big for the culture, and the people that came up with it don't know how to sell it. So if you are a technical person, an engineer, and you'd like to be like the head of technology for Kraft or Coca-Cola or a variety of companies that I've trained and helped them get to there by selling their ideas, go to solutionpeople.com.
Okay, Tom's your guy. And I am so blessed that I've had the opportunity to meet you here today. And I rest hug you. And thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you. Appreciate it.